how to speed up your manifestations. So we know that the more weight, the more worry, the more focus we put on the space between where we are and where we want to be, the greater that space gets, both in physical space and perceived time, right? We've talked about the experience loops. So the more attention you give to the journey, the bigger the loops get. So it takes you longer to get there. Now, I've been running some, I guess, experiments over here on my own. I've been studying Kabbalah, and it has some interesting points that really resonated with me. And so I've been experimenting, and I've found some success. Let me tell you what I've been doing. So I am prone to headaches. Tension headaches is, I think, what they are. It's been a whole thing. I've had them since my mid-teens, I think. Tried a bunch of things, within the physical plane, Western medicine and all that, and nothing really worked. So there was a time where I was better, and in the last couple years, they've kind of come back. Now, sometimes they can develop into full-blown migraines, and I'm just out of action entirely. So what I've been playing around with for the past 2 weeks or so has allowed me to actually dissipate the headache before it takes root. So as I can feel it coming, what I'm about to explain to you gets rid of it. It's fantastic. So in my study of Kabbalah, there's this idea that everything is from the Creator, from Source, from God, whatever you want to call it. Everything is from the Creator, and it is good. Right? Good, bad, or ugly, doesn't matter how it appears to you, doesn't matter if it hurts, doesn't matter if it feels good. It's all from the Creator, and it is all good because it is there to help us grow. We've asked for it, even if it's not consciously. We may have asked for it subconsciously, we may have asked for it inadvertently, we may have asked for it before we got here, or it could be, and I think this is very likely, I want this, but I'm not aware that in order to get this, I have to go through this. Not because I need to earn it, not because I need to suffer, but because I need to grow to become the kind of person who has this. Does that make sense? So if we accept that everything we experience, everything we see is from the Creator and is good, then why would we ever fight anything? So that's what I started doing. Whenever I felt the headache begin, start to feel that sharp pain in my temples or up here or something behind the eyes, whatever, I realized, or rather I had a hunch, that the pain was just there because I was fighting it. So I start to get a little bit of pain in my head and I go, oh no, I don't want a headache. Fighting, resistance. So it brings about the headache. So instead of what I've been doing is leaning into it. So I get a little bit of pain and I close my eyes. You don't have to close your eyes, but I've been closing my eyes and I've been moving towards the pain, embracing it, letting it come instead of fighting it. And within 30 seconds, often less, it disappears. It's been fantastic. So then I started experimenting with other forms of pain. I got sunburn a couple days ago. It's pretty bad, but at least I'm going to get a good tan from it. And yeah, wearing this shirt is hurting a little bit. If I move in a certain way, it hurts. Lying down, because my back's pretty burnt, lying down hurts. So I've been practicing with that. I've been focusing on it and dissipating the pain because I've been leaning into it, right? Not fighting it, not resisting it. Then meditating, you get kind of anxious sometimes. Maybe you get itches and you want to scratch, but you also don't want to scratch because you're meant to be meditating, right? So I've leaned into the itch, leaned into the discomfort, whatever it is, and it dissipates. Remember what I say, we never want to fight. Resistance is the manifestation killer. We know that we're manifesting 24/7. It's our natural state. We can't not do it, except when we put roadblocks in our own path. That's all we're doing here. That's all technique is. It's to remove the blocks so that our natural state of just manifesting whatever we want can work unhindered. So then this got me thinking about Rasputin. Trust me, this is going somewhere. So I find the guy fascinating. Ra, from the Ra Contact, the Law of One, mentioned Rasputin, name dropped him as someone who had evolved, who had graduated to the next density, the next dimension, the next level, or however you want to think about it, along the negative path. And the negative path interests me because in order to know what you are, it's often helpful to know what you're not. It's kind of a process of elimination. So if I can figure out how those on the left-hand path, a service to self people, get to where they're trying to go, then like process of elimination, I can figure out how I'm meant to get there. Along the right-hand path, the service to others path. So Rasputin really fascinates me, especially because there's kind of a mystique that's carried on surrounding him. Like, we still talk about him today. There's still mysteries, still legend surrounding the guy. And if you really look into what his life was like and what he did, you might find, well, hang on, was he really that bad? Like, it's really ambiguous. It's an interesting situation. So what I came down to, like, I'm not going to go through the guy's whole history, but what seems to be important, in my understanding, is the fact that he did like these big orgy things, right? And if we believe that he was as devout as he seemed to be, like a devout Christian, then what he practiced, like sleeping with everyone and their goat, and those big orgies and obviously, being unfaithful to his wife and all that, even if that's something he wanted to do on a physical level, he would have considered that as a sin. And considering who he hung out with, certain cults, I recommend you look into the guy, it's a really interesting story, but certain cults that were all about, like, their whole philosophy was, let's sin on purpose so we can repent harder. I think that's what he did. So it's not that what he did was an objective sin, it's that he thought it was. So what did he really do? He wasn't sinning so he could repent harder, whether he knew it or not. What he was doing was facing his demons. He created his demons so he could face them, if that makes sense. No, let me put it a different way. He went looking for his demons. So while most of us kind of just hang out and wait and, something bad happened, it's a good opportunity for me to react in an enlightened way, let's say. He was like, no, where's the bad shit? Where are my demons? I want to get at it now. And make no mistake, I'm not saying that you should go out and sin, whatever that means to you. I just find it fascinating. I think that's another angle of what I'm talking about here. He sought out the pain, the catalyst, really is what it is. It's catalyst for growth, catalyst for change. Catalysts can be positive or negative, but unfortunately, often the best catalyst is negative, because that's what we've chosen for it to be. So this is kind of this is the mindset I've been adopting. So it works with physical pain. I've proven that to myself. So what's the next step? Well, the next step is emotional pain, is thoughts that hurt me, that hold me back. So insecurity, I'm dive right into it. I can tell you there's absolutely something to this. It works. So when people talk about shadow work and whatnot, I think it's really easy to get caught up in this idea that you're meant to analytically, consciously, analyze your problems and figure out, well, why, and that's useful, but I don't think it's the silver bullet. The silver bullet is feeling the emotion. Because remember, resistance will create what you're afraid of. So, you've heard this before. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. But it depends how you handle the fear. And I'm telling you, if you embrace it, it dissolves. It's quite remarkable. It's like this paradox, And we've talked a little bit about this before. It's like the shields in Dune. It will shield you against fast-moving objects, so projectiles, or if someone tries to come in with a quick jab, it'll protect you. But the slow dagger will penetrate the shield. And that's what we're trying to do here. Right? So we want to be proactive instead of reactive. So if you come across something that's unpleasant or scary, you don't go, I don't want to feel the pain. Physical pain, emotional pain, whatever it is. Any kind of pain or discomfort. We don't want to because then it's what happens? You've got two immovable objects, unstoppable forces, and it creates something. It creates impact. But if instead you come across discomfort, you come across pain, and you go, no, come in. Or you step into it. You allow yourself to be absorbed by it. You allow. Well, then it doesn't create anything. You just move right through it. And remember, you don't necessarily have to learn conscious lessons. Learning emotional lessons, it's not necessarily something that you'll bring up and remember consciously. But it sinks in, it becomes part of our being. It's okay. You don't have to stress about, actively learning your lessons. You will benefit from the result of the lesson, subconsciously, automatically. This is kind of it's about the balance of mind, body, spirit, isn't it? A lot of the time, I think we certainly put way too much focus on the physical, on the body. We spend too much time in the mind. We place too much importance on the mind solely. The mind is important. The mind is our tool, right? It's our controls for this simulation. But it's we use a video game reference. It's like holding the controller, ignoring the screen, and going, well, this is everything. Why isn't it working? Because you're not paying attention to anything else. Mind, body, spirit. The spirit will learn without you being conscious of it. So to that end, let's bring it back. How to speed up your manifestations. Well, just like that. You have to lean into it. You have to lean into the discomfort, to the blocks, because that's the only way to get past them. Remember, the blocks are all your bullshit, your limiting beliefs, your false stories that you put between where you are and where you want to be. So, if you're lonely and you want to manifest a relationship or friends or just a remedy to the loneliness, you don't go, no, I'm not lonely. What's that? That's resistance. Remember what happens with resistance? Loneliness. Rejection of that loneliness. You've just created it. You've created an impact. You've created a reaction. So you have to go, yeah, I'm lonely. And I'll feel it too. Come at me. And in doing so, you will pass right through it. If you want to manifest money, yeah, I feel poor. Don't resist it, don't fight it. Because with money, we have tangible consequences, right? Oh, I won't be able to pay my rent. Cool, all right. Lean into that. What's that feel like? I won't be able to afford petrol. I don't know. I won't be able to afford presents for my family. What does that feel like? What happens if that comes to pass? Because if you try to fight it, you'll create it. All right, guys. I'd love to know what you think about this in the comments, especially I'd love to know what happens after you try it. As always, take what resonates and discard the rest.